Oh, I'm thinking of Port Arthur, Beaumont, Port Arthur, Orange. Corpus Christi is further
Good morning, and welcome to the regular Fort Park Spring Board of Directors meeting for the month of March. I would like to establish a quorum as all board members are here today. And at this time, could I ask Ms. Shirley Hadsell to do our invocation and then our pledge of allegiance.
Pray with me, please. Our gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day and for the beautiful weather that we are enjoying. We pray that if it be thy will, that you will send us rain as our country needs it. Dear Lord, we just ask that we all work together to make Fort Clark an even better place to live. Please bless our servicemen and women the world over, and bless each one represented here today. In Jesus' blessed name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
It's a state law. It's a state law. We have to do it. State law. Well, I say it, we're of the United States.
At this time, we're going to ask our secretary to do the announcements and correspondence.
Madam Secretary, we have several pieces of correspondence. This is one from Fort Clark Days, Janelle Hobbs and staff. Dear Janelle and staff, thank you for your annual support of Fort Clark Days. Speaking for everyone on Fort Clark Days Committee, and indeed the whole Fort Clark Springs community, we wish to express our sincere appreciation. Without your collective assistance, we could not bring living historians to reenact life at Old Fort Clark, nor could we show over 200 children, school children, the frontier way of doing things. Your contributions to Fort Clark Days help keep our shared regional and national history alive. With earnest appreciation, the Fort Clark Days Committee. I've got two to open. Fort Clark Days. Dear Mr. Walker, I would like to express my gratitude to your department for helping out with all the necessary arrangements to get everything ready for the event. I saw men running around moving tables, chairs, setting up benches, putting trash cans where needed. They were helpful in setting up tables in the community, in the commissary for all our vendors, and then on the 2 days of the festival, they went around and emptied all the trash cans when they runneth over. A big thank you has to go out for supplying us with a truck and driver for the show. That is such an important job during Saturday, as many people need a ride to the grounds. Regarding the general operation of the maintenance department, I know some people don't appreciate them, but Wally and I do, and we see how much they actually do. They pick up trash, rubbish, etc. when they see it. Many times it is not even on the designated days. I just wish the residents would bust up the cardboard and tie it up for the guys to pick up. It sure would make their job easier. Once again, extend our thanks to all the guys for doing all the behind-the-scenes work for Fort Clark Days. Sincerely, Kathleen Warren. And this is for Fort Clark Days. Dear Matt, we'd like to give a short thanks to you and your staff for helping with the safety provided during the event. On Friday, I was fortunate to man the barricades on Fort Clark Road and Bullis. I really enjoyed watching all the school children get off the buses and enter the grounds. They were so enthusiastic about seeing what lay ahead of them. You and Bob Hendricks did a great job in directing traffic so there would be no accidents. The ones at the gate did a good job of making sure the traffic flow also went well. With the vendors coming in, visitors arriving, people coming in for the garage sales, and shuttle traffic, and all our residents going in and out, I think it went pretty well. I think also by moving the parking attendants further up to the parking area helped alleviate some of the congestion. Thanks to you again and your employees for making this event a safe one. Sincerely, Kathleen Warren. Got another card. It says, "Hi, my name is Madison Luce, and I'm 13 years old. I've been in 4-H since I was in 5th grade. This year, my goat was named Rocky. I don't know why I don't know why, I just like the name. Over the years of my experience in showing, I have grown each year mentally and physically. I have learned to control my anger when it comes to stubborn goats, and for some that's not easy. I just want to say thank you, and I hope you have a great year. God bless you and your family. Love, Madison Luce."
Well, we may be doing something right with a lot of thank yous. At this time, we'll have the approval of our minutes.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented to the board last meeting.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor? Motion passes, 4 members voting. Presentation of the financial statement.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the financial statement presented to the board for tax audit.
Need a second?
Well, we're looking at this preliminary draft here. It says,
This is just our regular monthly.
there's no changes beyond this, which is preliminary. Has this been altered since this?
No,
This is the drive out deal, okay.
Yes.
All right. Second?
I have a motion and a second to accept the financials. All in favor? Motion passes. Any discussion?
One's in town. One's in town, and the other one's
Transfer funds is next year. This
It's on page 7.
Okay, I knew I see it.
Can I ask you a question? Last month, the auditor said we were $250,000 roughly in debt. This thing says we got $241,000 from
This is just a monthly statement.
What's it for the
Oh,
year
you're looking at
year to
the
date?
back over here. Okay, yes.
Year to date says for a quarter of a million to good, there's, $500,000 disparity there.
Sir, I'm sorry if I may interrupt. Our fiscal year runs October 1 through September 30th, and that's what the auditor was speaking of.
Well, and you give us this for a calendar year instead of a fiscal year?
No, for this year.
That's year to date for this year.
That's year to date for this year.
October through February of this year.
Yeah, I understand that, boy. Okay, thank you. Yeah, 2011. We used to argue.
Approval of transfer of funds.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the transfer of funds as presented to the police for operational purposes.
Hang on, we can't say anything.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the transfer of funds. All in favor? Motion passes with all voting in favor. Discussion?
How much is in the impound fund and how much are you transferring? We don't have any balance, or we don't know how much you're transferring.
Yeah, we're transferring 168,000, and none of it's coming from the impound.
What's the total on the impound fund?
Total assessments, total cash. I got $154,651.98. Cash.
That's how much is available?
That's what it says on my sheet here.
Okay, report Director of Operations.
Okay, first I would like to respond to the thank you letters. On behalf of the employees, we thank all the volunteers that pitch in and help so much throughout the year, particularly during Fort Clark days. As far as the employees doing a good job during Fort Clark days, it's just part of what we do, and pardon me, and it's like we like to say, it's part of what your assessments cover. But we appreciate the word of thanks anyway. That's always very pleasant to have. The motel for the month of February was down, was 23%. March finished with good numbers with the annual meeting, the golf tournament. We have a cycling group in, so our revenue should be up considerably for March. The RV park occupancy rate for February was 71%, which is up over last year, which is very encouraging. Of course, the Los Morris Invitational Golf Tournament is going on this weekend. We've got a good crowd playing this year, as they usually do. This usually brings in good revenue out there, and the biggest part of the revenue goes right back into the course from the men's club. There were 4 FRMs sold during the previous month, and we're hoping this will pick up. Lean back on this. Will pick up in the coming months. The collections continue to move along at a steady pace. Since last March, there was a total of $157,900 and some odd dollars collected in past due assessments. The previous month was like $4,866, so it continues to move along real well. As far as those on payment plans, further down on the agenda, we have an item that pertains to setting members up on payment plans. It's in reference to new state guideline statutes that have been put into effect pertaining to the Texas Property Code. The adult center had a total of 944 participants during the previous month, and the activity center had 335 kiddos that were participating there. We continue to have some problems with beavers building dams along the creek. They're persistent little boogers. Also, just a reminder, if you're riding your golf cart or horseback riding along the creek, it's a good idea to stay back a little ways from where the water is, because the nutria have dug up underneath there, and there's been several places that there's been cave-ins. Normally, when the creek's flowing good, those tunnels are filled up with water, so it's no problem. But with the severe drought that we've been in and are still in, it creates problems with the ground such as it is. It's not anything that's just unusual to Fort Clark. Downstream users have the same problems from time to time. So just kind of a gentle warning to be careful when you're out riding. Last evening, a pickup came through the gate with, I think, a deer stand or something in it. It was in the lane next to the guard shack. And for whatever reason, it ran into the front side of the building, knocked some rocks off, damaged the roof somewhat. The individual, I think, just went on through the gate. Matt and one of the deputies were out looking for the individual. I'm sure they found him. I did not get a report on it this morning, but the individual will be paying for those. Damages. The last thing I wanted to address, last month, since our auditor's statement about expecting us to finish up with roughly $280,000 loss for this coming year, we still don't have the audit report. The CPA has been ill. He's looking at having to have some serious heart surgery. But I talked to him on Thursday, and he should have the report for us on this next week. Anyway, since the last meeting, I've had a number of members that have called and have been in the office questioning this $280,000. And so I just wanted to bring a few things to your attention in reference to this. We had some large expenses this last year. As most of you are aware, the $35,000 that was paid out to Mike Gazelle. $35,000 that was paid out to Mike Straub. The $9,500 that was paid out to Mike Gazelle. We bought a garbage truck. It was somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000. I don't remember. 32. 32. Okay, I didn't check, but it was in that neighborhood. Our operating revenue was down approximately $225,000 from the previous year. And you say, well, you need to cut expenses. That's true. Our expenses were up somewhat, but not near as much as the revenue was down. The expenses were on, I say only, and I wish it were not that much, they were up like $91,000 compared to a drop in the revenue of roughly $225,000. So that certainly plays into it. On a recommendation from the auditor and visiting with our director of operations at that time, they felt that the reserve for bad debts needed to be increased, that percentage. While reserve for bad debt and depreciation are not cash items, they do play into the bottom line. It's something I think that the auditor plans, and he's hoping that his surgery will not be until after the annual meeting. He does plan to be at the annual meeting, and he will give an in-depth report on it. But while we do have to watch our expenses, and certainly we wish our revenue, our cash flow was greater than it was, we're working on some avenues trying to get perhaps more FRMs, more people into the motel through the week, more people to the RV park during the summertime when it's so slow. But it's a gradual process. But I know everybody's up in arms over the roughly $280,000, but I just wanted to explain those few things to you and maybe help understand a little bit what it is. That's all I have, ma'am.
I would just like to thank Janelle for all the work she's done, particularly since she had a pretty bad accident on the road this past month. I mean, it was a serious accident. She really could have been that. If the car had been, if her truck had been hit just right, she'd have gone over the bridge. She wouldn't be sitting here today. So I think she really owes everybody a thank you for getting in here and doing all the work that she did.
Also on our finances, while we're talking finances, the man made the comment about the $241,000 for the good right now. this board is responsible for that. We have done some things this past year that I think has contributed to this bottom dollar on some of the contracts we called and renegotiated. We are fixing to go through our 6-month budget. Our 6 months is up at the end of this month, so we are going to have a couple of meetings and see where we're really with our budget at. So just to let you know, we are working for the good of Fort Park Springs. Yes, I do not know the lady in the back.
Hi, good morning. My name is Iris Mullerwa. I have a love of Fort Clark. My parents had a membership here since '83 when it started, so I grew up basically here. I stopped paying like 6 months ago, and I've stopped paying a couple of times. I've sent you all emails because I called people, and they said, well, put it in writing. And I sent emails, nothing has been done. Disappointed because I've known the fort since it started. I saw the red carpets here in the restaurant. I saw the people. We love Fort Clark because, different from Eagle Pass, you come to Fort Clark and everyone says hi, everyone is relaxed and happy, it's just beautiful, the people are beautiful. But I know you all don't go much. You go to the benches, you know, I have a recreational membership. What am I getting for it? I go to the benches, they're all broken. Since years ago, the grills have holes in them. We can't cook out because there are holes in the grills. You can't put any firewood in there or anything. You know, the restrooms sometimes are closed, and still, since it opened, if you're not living here, there are no dressing rooms. You have to change there in the toilet without even a seat. I've been down there and I go in the water and I pick up bottles and take them out and clean up because I love the fort. Like I tell you, I love the people here, I love the fort, but what am I getting from my membership? Okay, I called the hotel, it's all full. There's a family reunion, there's this, there's that. What am I, shouldn't members get priority? If we're members, you know, I'm paying every month, but I'm not getting anything for it. I called the other day, and I said, okay, you know, I was disappointed, okay, I can't leave it. I miss the people saying bye, I miss, you know, the smiles and stuff. And I got yelled at. How dare you stop paying? I said, well, excuse me, you know, I have been calling and I have been emailing you all. What are you all giving me for this recreational membership if I'm, you know, I just come in a couple times a year, we go to the pool, we cook out. So what am I getting? Now, right now she says you're in foreclosure. Foreclosure of what? Of what? I told her, she said, maybe you can arrange payments there at the meeting. I said, I don't need payments. I can pay it all in full. I'm a teacher. My husband has a good job and stuff. I can pay in full. But for years I've been telling you, there's nowhere to sit. There's nowhere to cook. What are we getting? Again, we've kept on being members because of the love of the people, because of the love of the fort, because of all the memories. I have my parents' membership here since '83, '82. They started this. And you come in sometimes, there's a lot of weird people here, you know, everyone can come in. And then one time you had a mobile home there, all broken down without windows or anything else, right in the middle of the road, you know, where everyone could see it. It got fixed, but still the aspect and the appearance is not the same. Now, I'm willing to pay and stuff, you know, that was the first time I got yelled at Fort Clark, but the time that I had the automatic payment, they took out 2 payments in 1 month, and then I called and she said, well, it's just that the member that's right next to you has a number in the account sort of like yours. So I stopped, I said, no, you know what, stop. I'll send in the payment. But I'm from Eagle Pass. You know, there are other clubs and associations that will tell you, if you pay the full year, we'll take off 1 or 2 months. You know, you got till the end of January, and you pay the full year. That way you don't have to bother with little coupons, you don't have to bother with people taking out more money than they should. I know there are mistakes, we're human, but I'm not willing to have mistakes like that on my bank account. Also, my sons, they're 20, 21 and stuff, they're in school, they're college students. Even the insurance will do, you know, if they're students up to 25. Right here, they're going like, well, no, they're old. Yeah, but they're in college, they're not working yet, they can't get their own membership. And the thing is, to come as a family, it's a family recreation. And I tell you, I'm willing to pay. I know it wasn't right to stop paying, but sometimes you get frustrated and disappointed.
Ma'am, I understand, and I'm certainly sorry you had not received any response to your
None.
email. I'll be more than...
Emails, calls, everything. Years, for years.
Okay, I'm very sorry about that. If you'll come in, you said you work, what hours do you work? If you could come up.
I'm a teacher in Eagle Pass, so
Okay.
I work 8:15 to 5:30.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy if you could come in sometime to sit down and go over all these items with you, instead of taking up all the time here this morning. I wish you had, when you were experiencing all these problems, I wish you had called and ask for the general manager, director of operations, the supervisor or something.
I did ask several times for it, but they said, put it in writing, send me an email or something, and I did.
Okay.
Nothing got
Okay.
done. I think
Well,
I don't know right now, but the benches were still broken, the holes in the grills.
Yes, ma'am, I understand about the grills. We thought we had someone last summer, late fall, late summer, early fall, a member that was going to, had volunteered to take care of those, and I think one of us fixed them.
They
was
told me
all.
that
So-
there were volunteers trying
Yes.
to change the benches
But we
and stuff.
will ensure that we get that taken care of. I don't think that, yeah, there may be a few benches, but there's still places to sit down at the pool.
At the pool, if you go on the side where the grills are and stuff,
Uh-huh.
they're all broken, and the grills have holes, you can't cook out of them.
Yeah, I was just speaking of benches, but if you'll call me after the meeting, if you'll write down your name and phone number, and leave it there at the counter for me, then I'll make contact with you first of next week, and, perhaps we can arrange a time I can come in and meet you like on a Saturday or something where we can sit down and have some time to visit, and I can address all your concerns.
All right. And
Okay, what was your last name? Pardon?
Mondragon.
Okay.
And this foreclosure thing that she says, that I called 10 days ago and she said, well, call in because she's not here. Call in because she's not here. Then I called back and then she just yelled and said, I already foreclosed it. I'm going like, I just called you a week ago and you said they said
Okay,
to just
well,
pay.
I think we can get that taken care of, ma'am. I'll give you a call first of the week. I'm sure we can get things resolved on it. Because we
Okay, so
certainly-
I can't do anything right now?
What
Or don't do that.
do you,
That's what
like, what do you want to do right now?
Pay or something. It's just that I go back to school and then it's really hard for me to come except on the weekends.
Okay. I can stay after the meeting and visit with you a little while.
Okay.
If,
She wants to pay child to the office.
yeah, I mean, as far as payment or something, is that what you're wanting to do?
Yes, but the lady was yelling that we're
Well,
in
yes, ma'am,
foreclosure.
they have instructions when someone is in, to where they're to foreclosure or they're very much past due, they have to talk to someone else. But we can get it resolved if you'll give me a few minutes after the meeting, all right?
All right.
Thank you very much, and again, I'm sorry you had problems.
This time we'll go into our committee reports and organization reports, architectural. Recreation. Recreation.
I'm sorry. My brain's dead. Recreation, we've been having good attendance at our potlucks. We appreciate that. And we have one again this Monday at 6 o'clock. Y'all come. We have just a real good time, and there are things going on in the fort, and we'll try to keep it going as much as we can. And along with our recreation, we also have the ceramic shop. It's open from 1 to 3 on Thursdays, which has been great. And then also kind of in that area, we have a Bible study at the RV Park at 10 on Wednesday mornings. Everybody's welcome, and we try to keep something going all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. RV Park.
Good morning. Everybody that missed breakfast this morning missed a free breakfast. We had over 70 when I left, but it was free gratis, and we do appreciate everybody's business, and we wanted to show that. So everybody received a free breakfast, thanks to the RV committee. Also this last week, the chimney, which is between the office and the kitchen, was cleaned out. There was a tree growing in that, and that took quite a bit of work getting that tree out and cleaning it up. And they put some weed protectors in there and filled it with lava rock, so it looks real nice and pretty. The 2 gardens have been cleaned, and wildflowers will be planted there. And maintenance killed 2 rattlesnakes yesterday when they hauled off that material, so everybody be careful when they're around material and stuff like that, because the rattlesnakes are out. Our carvers are still coming on Monday, and they're having good crowds. The Bible study, as Sherry mentioned, has real good crowds on Wednesday. And Stitch is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we're still getting good crowds on that. And a lot of our RVers are leaving for the season, but they will return. And we just wish everybody a safe trip home, and thank you very much.
Golf.
They're having a Walsmore's golf tournament this weekend, and so I doubt if there's anybody here from the golf committee to report unless it's Dick. Okay.
Reservation.
Preservation had a meeting on Wednesday, and we discussed finishing the deck on the community council building, which will be taken care of. And we're going to do the first phase on what is called the butcher block, and that involves the drainage problem that goes around the building to keep it away from going in the building, so that we can proceed on the next stage to take and start repair. Other than that, we did an approval for our portion of the wall down here that we did opposite maintenance. And I think that's all.
Community Council.
Community Council had their regular meeting. One of the things that did come up is that we would like to request that the board authorize or ask for an energy audit on Shafter Hall, so that we can more pointedly control the electrical expenses there. It's gone up markedly, we said, since they put in the smart meter, and actually since they used April, we're paying in excess of $150 per month on average for electricity for that building. And for the amount of usage of the building, that just does not make sense. So we are asking that the board authorize an energy audit. It is CP&L that provides our electricity. And just as a suggestion, I think it would be a good idea for the fort to do an energy audit on every single building that the fort owns. And perhaps we can find ways to save money that way. Thank you. Recycling.
Recycling this last term around sent out 20 gaylogs. We're still in a stream that is filling up faster than it was before. And it is good because it's keeping that amount of stuff out of the landfill, which will go on in a lot more. So yes, we appreciate everybody that's involved, and thank you all for coming to the recycling.
Moving on to number 10 on our agenda, discussion, consideration, agreement with the community council.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we renew the agreement with the community council that's renewed and renewed called Bingo. as presented to the board.
I have a motion and a second to accept the agreement with the community council building and the lease we have with them. All in favor? Motion passes for members voting. Any discussion? Discussion, consideration, agreement with Horse Club.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we sign the agreement with the Horse Club to remain in force until April 2013, as presented to the board.
I have a motion to accept the agreement with the Horse Club. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second to accept the agreement with the Horse Club. All in favor? Motion passes. Any discussion? Discussion, consideration, open records production copying policy.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that this open record policy be recorded at the courthouse as presented to the board. Second.
I've got a motion to accept the policy. Do I have a second? I've got to get something to discuss it first.
Second.
He made the motion, you can't second it too. I have a motion and a second to discuss the production and copying policy for Fort Clark Springs. All in favor? Okay, discussion.
Madam President, this came about because of all the new changes in the Texas law for homeowners associations. If you would permit me, I would read it to the audience. This is all lawyer talk. Whereas Fort Clark Springs Association, a Texas nonprofit corporation, is property owner association, and whereas the Texas Property Code Section 209.005 enacted by the 82nd Texas Legislature as House Bill 2761 effective July 1, 2012 provides for any property owners association to adopt and file a production and copying policies, and whereas the association wishes to follow the statutory requirement by setting forth the production and copying policies as follows. Authority. If an open record is made to the association, may charge the requester all reasonable costs of material, labor, and overhead for compiling, producing, and reproducing the requested information. Charges. The rate which the association may charge an owner are the same as the maximum permitted rate published in the section 70.3 of the Texas Administration Code, Title 1, Part 3, Chapter 7. The charges are shown on Exhibit A. Hereto are some of the TAC rates in effect on the date of this policy is adopted and will be deemed to change automatically with the change in the state's maximum permitted rates for public information requests. Saving clause. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary in writing or communication made by the association will not in any event be entitled to receive or collect open records charges from an owner in an amount greater than the maximum amount permitted by applicable law. If for any circumstances whatsoever the association charges or receive an amount in excess of the maximum charge permitted by law, the excess amount will be reimbursed to the owner. Waiver. The association may reduce or waive some of all the charges addressed by this policy on a request-by-request basis without waiving the right to charge the fees on a future request. Payments. The association may require advance payment of the entitled charges addressed by this policy within 30 business days after delivering the request information. The association will provide the owner with an invoice of actual costs. If the actual costs are less than prepaid estimate charges, association will refund the difference to the owner within 30 business days after sending the invoice. If an actual costs are greater than the prepaid estimate charges, the difference is due and payable to the association by the owner within 30 days, unpaid amount to the association account. Approved by the Board of Directors acting in regular session March 17, 2012, Fort Collins Springs, Debbie Isaac, President. That's basically what the one of the new state laws tells us to do.
And does that give you any idea of what it costs when you ask for a
I
copy?
think it's 10 cents a page, isn't it? Right. Currently, it's 10 cents a page.
Okay, yeah, it's a page. If it's double-sided, it's considered 2 pages.
Right.
Oversized, such as 11 by 17,
Right.
50 cents. Goes on, it takes, if you have to.
I think it's pretty much been that way for several years, I think.
But now we have to have a policy in
Right.
place to be able to
Right.
do that.
And then we get, like, if it's up in archives, we get to charge a labor charge for looking it up.
Absolutely. And the archives are 6 years back, is that correct?
It's different things for different items.
That's another one that's coming up.
That's coming up.
Yes, how long we have to keep shut.
I've got a hand in the back.
Aren't a lot of these records and documents supposed to be on the web?
They are getting there.
Oh.
We are trying our best to get a lot of them there now.
And you won't charge any copying fees for accessing the web?
Not accessing the web and you print them off yourself, no sir.
Okay.
Mr. White.
Don't we normally have discussion on these motions before you have a vote? You're having a vote before you have a discussion?
They didn't vote to approve it.
Well,
We voted to discuss, we haven't actually voted, you have to have a vote to be able to discuss anything.
What constitutes having said all this about the charges, then we get down to the waiver part, that you can waive it anytime you want. What constitutes waiving all these charges? What day of the week you come in or what? Right down there right before it gets to page, it says, we got all this new law, then we can waive the whole thing. So what are we doing here?
If they bring us donuts. Yeah, if it's something like, okay, a committee member, for instance, architectural committee, talking to certain things, or the recreation committee, and the committees or something, certain things, that if we can waive it. We sometimes with, and we haven't for a number of years, but usually we ran them, essentially like the programs, for the off tournament. One of the recent years they had their own. And occasionally, of course, we think that we would run, run some copies, with, minimum, nominal amount.
Well, it's not a dollar amount, it just depends on the situation. Reason I ask, it seems like when we have these options to waive, and then sometimes there's rules and sometimes you're not. In my short time here, it seems like that's the source of a lot of our problems, these gray areas, so it's the reason I ask.
Well, it looks like it was actually taken out of the House bill. That wording is also in this House bill.
The House bill says you can waive it too.
Yeah, I've got the House
Like a
bill
waste
out
of-
here in my hand.
Like a waste of paper, doesn't it?
But you can't charge anything if you don't have it enforced.
Okay.
And it has to be filed at the courthouse to be effective. So if we agree to this and we don't go file it, we can't legally charge anybody for anything,
Okay.
according to the House bill itself.
I'll make another motion.
Okay.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we accept this as read to the audience and registered in the courthouse.
I have a motion and a second to accept the production and copying policy for Fort Clark Springs Association and to have it filed over at the Kenny County Courthouse. All in favor? Motion passes, 4 members voting. Discussion, consideration, document retention policy.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we read this document to the audience, and if approved, we recorded in the courthouse.
That's the way you do it.
Oh, yeah.
You can read the document first.
Yeah. Give me a second. I'll second.
All right, I've got a first and a second to go ahead and read the document for the,
Exhibit A, Fort Clark Springs Association Incorporated Production and Copy Policy. Prescribed cost to owner, copy charges. Elect. Thirteen. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got too many documents. Retention of document policy. Whereas Fort Clark Springs Association, Texas Nonprofit Organization Property Owner Association, and whereas the Texas Property Code Section 209.005 enacted by the 82nd Texas Legislature is House Bill 2761 effective January 1, 2012, provides for any property owner association composed of more than 14 lots to adopt and comply with documents retention policy, and whereas the association wishes to follow the statutory requirements by setting forth the document retention policy as follows. Document retention requirements. At a minimum, the association will obtain the documents required by Property Code Section 209.05 for the period of stated required by this particular property code, which on effective date consists of documents identified on Exhibit A hereto. Construction. Policy may not be constructed to prevent the Board of Directors from adopting, amending, and restating from time to time one or more additional administrative policy pertaining to the retention of documents, records, and information of the association, including, without limitation, policies relating to the storage and destruction of the item identified on Exhibit A. Policy pertaining to the retention, storage, and destruction of other types of documents, records, and information of the association. This provision may not be construed as a duty of the Board of Directors to adopt such additional administrative policies. Applicability. Pursuant to Section 6, subsection B of House Bill 2761, this policy applies only with respect to books and records of the association generated on or after January 2012, the effective date of the law enacted by House Bill 2761. Public reporting in case this administrative policy is construed to be a declaratory instrument within the meaning of the Property Code Section 202.001, subparagraph 1, it will be publicly reported in Kenny County, Texas, pursuant to the Property Code Section 202.006, subparagraph B. All amendments, restatements, supplements to this policy must be publicly reported in Kenny County, Texas, unless and until state law clarifies that public reporting of administrative policies such as this policy is not required. This provision and act of reporting may not be construed as an assertion by the association that this policy, which is administrative in nature, is a declaratory instrument. Approved by Debbie Isaac, President of the Board.
once again, this is something new with the new laws out of the House Bill number 2761. It is to be recorded at the courthouse again. There is a breakdown of how long we have to retain certain records. It probably wouldn't hurt to put those records, those numbers somewhere so people can see them also. But once again, all we're doing is trying to abide by the new laws set forth come January 1st of this year. Do I have a hand in the back?
Yes. What are you voting on here? Are you voting on whether to accept the state law or what?
No, we're to put these in our dedicatory instruments and file them, so we are legal with the law to charge y'all and how long we have to keep all the records. And it's just We want the membership to know that we're doing this to abide by the laws. And we're doing it in front of everybody.
But you have to abide by the law.
We do,
I do.
but we
So
want
what are you
everybody to
voting
know
on?
that we are doing it.
But the law says we have to have something in writing approved by the board and
And
filed.
we're approving.
Okay, what do you have in writing? That's the state law.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to accept the document retention policy for Fort Park Springs Association. All in favor? Motion passes with 4 members voting. Discussion, consideration, alternative payment plan schedule policy.
Janelle,
Sir.
does this one have to be recorded in the courthouse too?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay. I make a motion that we read this policy to the audience and that it be recorded in the courthouse as a procedure for payment schedule policy. Alternative payment schedule guideline for Fort Park Springs Association Incorporated. Whereas Fort Park Springs Association, or FCS, a Texas nonprofit corporation, is a property owner association that is composed of more than 14 lots, and whereas the Texas Property Code 209.0062 provides for any property-owned association in Texas with more than 14 lots shall adopt and file alternative payment schedule guidelines by which an owner may make partial payments to the property owners association for delinquent, regular, or special assessments or any other amount owed to the association under statutory guidelines. And whereas FCS wishes to follow the statutory requirements by setting forth the alternative payment schedule as follows. Now therefore, the Board of Directors of Fort Park Springs, Board of Directors of Fort Park Springs Incorporated, acting in regular session on the 17th day of March 2012, set forth the following alternative payment schedule guidelines. Term of delinquent payments for a regular or a special assessment or any other amount owed to Fort Park Association. $1,500 or less, delinquent amount of $1,500 or less shall be paid over a period of not to exceed 12 months. Over $1,500, delinquent amount of more than $1,500 shall be paid over a period not to exceed 18 months. Repeated offenders, Fort Park Springs, is not required to enter into a payment plan with an owner who fails to honor the terms of the previous payment during the 2 years following the owner default under previous payment plans. Late fee collection costs. Fort Park Springs may not charge late fee or collection costs during the term of the payment plan. Administration fee and interest. Fort Park Springs may charge reasonable costs associated with administrating the plan or for interest. Approved by the board acting in regular session on the 17th day of March 2012.
So here again, the state law is telling us we need to put this into place so we treat everybody the same. We don't pick and choose who we do this to. If you go into a payment plan, 2 years, if you default on this payment plan and the previous, we do not have to take a payment plan from you again. So that's what we're doing. We're setting our record straight at the courthouse so everybody's treated the same and fairly according to the law. And this is what we're voting on, is to put this in our instruments. This is a board meeting. I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second to accept the alternative payment schedule guidelines. All in favor? Motion passes, 4 members voting. Discussion, consideration, gravel at RV park.
The gravel at the RV park, last month we asked to get an estimate on it, and we asked Steve Gillen to inspect the restroom for the ADA handicap regulations. And Steve, if you would give us your report, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, on the February the 24th, I turned in a report to Janelle, gave a copy to Shirley. Before the meeting, gave one to Debbie. But what I did was go back over and look at, first I looked at Melina's contract, what it was supposed to entail, and saw it was in 3 different parts. Saw how much he got up front, which was half. I guess that's kind of the going deal out here. And saw what he was supposed to do. And since then, a lot has happened. They tore down part of the, taken off paneling out there in the wilderness, put up new stuff. Now I understand. For the meeting from Shirley, it's starting to flake off. If there's any such thing as an outdoor paneling, I call it hardy plank. That's what needs to be out there, not residential type paneling. But that's not the thing. This discussion here was for gravel. Gravel is just the tip of the iceberg out there, and I was trying to see what, of all the things that the RV park needs, what was covered in Melina's and what's not. Biggest thing I saw, other than the crack in the building up there, and I'll get to that, biggest thing I saw was this ADA requirement for the bathrooms. It's not a Fort Clark law, it's not a Texas law, it's a federal law. Anytime the public comes in, and they do, we have to have an ADA compliant, a wheelchair facility. For those folks, and in Melina's contract says that the restrooms behind the building, meaning back behind the eatery there and the washateria, is going to convert one of the restrooms into handicap accessible, ADA compliant. If you've been back there, there's 2 unisex bathrooms sitting side by side, which I know is kind of strange in itself. Instead of a men or a women, you got unisex. But anyway, when you go in there, there's just quite frankly not enough room, in my opinion, of 40 years of doing this. In commercial plumbing, in my opinion, there's not enough room to be ADA compliant. You can't just put in a shower stall. You have to be able to be wide enough to get a wheelchair up the ramp and down over the threshold. And I noted in my report, the lavatory has to be a 20 by 27 inch away from the wall lavatory. It has to be supported by an in-wall lavatory carrier with arms sticking through that the lavatory slides on. And I know all this may not mean anything, but when you're in a wheelchair trying to pull up, it means a lot when the lavatory comes off the wall, when there's just simply a lavatory hanger or that piece of plywood that they've got over there right now they're trying to make work. The mirror that the wheelchair person's looking in has to be at a tilt so he or she can see. The drainage underneath the lavatory has to be offset so the hot water doesn't scald their legs. It has to be insulated. And of course, the water closet or the toilet has to be a minimum of 17 inches high. Grab bars on either side, along with grab bars in the shower and handheld personal shower inside the shower. And in my report, as I said, if any one of these points is not met, it's all for nothing because it will not be ADA compliant. And we offer the people that restroom in the back, the 2 restrooms up in the front by the office are restrooms. As long as we have a facility available to somebody and they choose not to use it, to be quite blunt, the onus is on them. You know, as long as there's one that's completely ADA compliant that they can use and they choose not to, that is their choice and not ours. But just from sheer size of those 2 rooms, the only way I can see doing it is tearing out the wall and making one unisex, ADA compliant. It's going to be bigger than it needs to be, but right now I can't see doing it. That shower stall has to be a minimum of 48 inches left and right with no seats in it just to get a wheelchair lavatory in there, not a 36 inch. It's going to take a lot of work. Now, I don't know if Melina knew all that when he put this in his contract, that it's going to be compliant. Maybe he does. Maybe this paint contractor that we hired to do this plumbing work, maybe he knows as much about it as I do, and he estimated all those things I just said in his contract, maybe not. But I'm here to tell you, if you miss one of those things, you're wide open for a suit, because it will not be ADA compliant, it just won't. I did this for a living, I know what it takes. But anyway, beyond that, the gravel here that was on the agenda for discussion is just part of it. I looked at the swampy sites back there in the back, and just for a start, 9 or 10 of them need to be done and quick. The water heaters I looked at, 2 of them were fixing to rupture. There's water on the floor. The water's trickling down over electric elements before it hits the floor. The temperature and pressure, the TNT valves that dump that water when that tank ruptures to the outside. There's no line to the outside. It's going to flood the rooms they're in. I'm recommending right now, today, if not sooner, we need 2 new 40-gallon water heaters to replace the ones that are fixing to rupture out there. And once again, I go back to 40 years' experience of inspecting, installing, and looking at things just like this. I know when a tank's fixing to rupture, those are fixing to rupture. It's just a matter of time. And the relocation of the dryer vents, they're venting them through the floor instead out the back wall. It's going to affect the operation of the dryer, not to mention just the health hazards of underneath the floor and coming back up through the holes. The repair on the big cracks in the RV office building where you can see daylight through that little activity room back there, quite frankly, we can do some cosmetic patching like Shirley and I talked about. You know, we can do some cosmetic stuff to make it look pretty, but it's not gonna hold. And people talked about leveling that building. In my opinion, you start leveling that building, it's gonna come apart. But for right now today, with money that we have or don't have, patch jobs, the only way I know to do, what you really need to do is level that building and build one complex that takes care of everything out there instead of being strung out in the different buildings. And I know that's on a wish list, but if you want my opinion, that's what needs to be done. But that, once again, we do what we can afford. But we can certainly afford to put a couple of water heaters in there and take care of that swamp back there. And got to address this handicapped ADA bathroom situation. I'm surprised we made it this long without having a real problem out there. Well, anyway, that's what I observed, that's what I put in writing, that's what I put here to yeah, we got several. The gravel is just we'll get us some gravel out there and spread it, you know. We know how many units, you know, just for starters, the whole backside needs to be done. As long as we're at it and we got people hauling gravel back and forth, let's do all of them. The guy's not going to charge you but a small percentage to do all of them. Is going to be those back 9. You know, some are in better shape than others. You know, I've stayed out there before. I know how the ankle deep water is along that back side. Anything else I did not miss? Now there are some little the work that Melina has already done in the bathrooms up front. There's some stuff he needs to replace. He may have already done it. I went by there this morning and I just looked at the handicap, what's supposed to be handicap bathrooms, just to see if anything had been done, and it hadn't since February when I looked at it before. It's the same thing. But in the work that he's already done up on the front bathrooms, there's defective bowls and cracked. And Shirley's telling me on the wilderness area that he's installing the old toilets that I need to go by and look at. He's installing the old toilets that he took out right back in there. I can't hardly believe it, but that's what it is. That's what it is. Now the original contract, I'm sure it's been amended. All this argument over the electricity, and his original deal, it says propane water heater, which means there was supposed to be a propane tank out there, but I'm assuming there's been an amendment to the contract I had where they went electricity. Which when you think about it, that wasn't a bad idea, was it? Put a small propane tank with a small propane water heater, and all this electric stuff we've been talking about for 6 months would be, you know, that's, anyway, it's electric, so it's electric. So anyway, the board had asked me to go by there and just take a look and give my opinion, and once again, it's my opinion only, and all I can fall back on is the experience I've had in Houston, which makes no difference at all. It's not a Houston law or a Texas law, you know, it's a federal law. Anyway, that's it.
Steve, I'd like to thank you for the complete report. And Janelle, you have a copy of this report, right?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to make a motion to, if we get a hold of somebody to find out how much it'll cost to make them unisex bathroom into one ADA approved bathroom. We can't go any further until we get a cost on it, but I'd like to make a motion if we get somebody to come in here and find out how much it's gonna cost. And just like Steve said, if we get a lawsuit filed on the federal level, we're not gonna get out of it. And so, I would like this is priority number one in my estimate, and I make that a motion.
Yeah, one thing also now, I wasn't trying to step back behind anybody. I was asked to do this at the request of the board, but I'd like to hear from Lee Winchell, because he may already have a lot of this stuff addressed and covered, because I know that our previous operations manager was over his, not over his head, but swamped with all kinds of stuff, and he asked Lee to help out to arrange for a contractor to come in there and do that. Now, Lee may have a lot of this stuff already addressed, and I'm talking out of turn, and maybe they've come up with something that, or agreement between them, or maybe he's got some modifications, you know, that I don't know about that's already in play. Lee, is there anything going on? You can enlighten me. All I'm talking about is what I'm seeing. I should have spoken to you
I
Oh,
first.
understand that. As far as that goes, that whole thing was put on hold. It was put on hold, you know, as far as the ADA went.
Uh-huh.
So nothing has gone forward as far as my part. It's just been out there in the ether. So yes, he's right in saying we need to get somebody, whether it's Molina or somebody else, another contractor, to look at the whole package.
So we don't have a contract with this company as of yet.
Yeah, we do.
We had a contract with him. He took and put it down, discounted the $900 that he had put in for that project to Janelle, and Janelle was supposed to cut him a check for the rest of the work.
So he's out of it then?
As of now, there's been no forward motion.
Well, what about the $7,500 we gave him, half of this contract, the $7,500? Is he? Are we swallowing that or what?
I don't know what she's done as far as payment. I directed him back to her.
Okay.
I don't know what the discussion was.
Front bathroom.
Yeah, that
That handled the petitions and the front bathroom stuff?
The 7,500 was the front part of the work. The 65 or 6900 was the MTMRV.
Okay.
So we got no contract for that unisex to make it ADA.
He's got it listed in his contract, he was gonna make it ADA, but I don't think he knew what he was talking about when he agreed to it.
But that part was just stopped until we're getting the report back.
So you always would.
Okay.
It was just put on hold.
So we got Steve's report, so according to Steve, we definitely need to get somebody in, or we should get somebody in here that really knows the specs.
Well, one other thing you should consider what Steve's report was. ADA is very important, not just there, anywhere on this campus. In a lot of places we are short on it, okay? The other thing he didn't put in his report, which he should have, is the door. The door is very important. That also has to be something that can be accessed by touching.
Well, it's on here, it's replace unisex restroom door. He's got this on his report.
Yeah, that's just because it looked rotten, I'm a plumber, I don't mess with doors.
So do we have a contract or not?
No.
No.
No, we have
Thank you.
put that contract to rest on
Thank
that unisex bathroom until further investigation.
So my motion is to get an estimate on how much it would cost to do that.
Now, we want to lump the gravel in with the plumbing and the water heaters and the whole shebang and the patching on the patching, we want to keep the gravel separate.
Well, the water heaters is just, that's just a separate, I mean, that can be taken care of like in-house, that's just a day-to-day thing. The board doesn't have to approve that. And the dryer vent part, that's, you'd already had that scheduled for week, it's gonna be done week after next.
But I'm just saying, just the ADA bathroom is the only thing I'm addressing.
Right.
Because that's the only thing around federal compliance.
Right.
And as far as the RV park, and Lee's right, we don't have restrooms and the rest of the facilities that meet ADA standards, such as the swimming pool. We're not gonna address it at this meeting, but there was a word on the news about swimming pools. They passed a new law, a federal law, that all swimming pools have to be ADA accessible. You gotta have a lift down and up, but we don't have the specs on that right now.
I think that's public pools.
That's right.
That's public pools.
Yes.
It's a public pool. Ours is not a public pool.
That's what visitors,
Yes, it is.
visitors come in here.
If you rent, if you go and rent a motel room up there, you got access to that pool. It's just like your golf course, Larry.
I understand that, but you're
It
talking
makes it
about.
public.
I saw that law, and I think you're talking about an awful lot of money, you got to build an elevator or whatever.
I'm not saying, we may be grandfathered in, but we need to check on it before we get, somebody, so there was a lady complaining
That's
about
not on
that.
our agenda.
That's not on our agenda, I just, but my motion right now is to get somebody to find out how much it's gonna cost to bring that restroom up.
Well, I'd like to try to get three bids. I'm not for this one bid thing. I think, I don't care what we've got to do to get 3 bids in here, we need to get 3 bids.
And I agree with you.
And the bids should include the materials to be used.
Well, that would come into the bids.
What are we
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about material-wise?
3 bids on 3 different items.
Jeanette,
I'm a little confused in that you said that we had a contract with Molina, and he put in there that under that contract, he would make those ADA accessible. Why is he not being held to the contract?
They broke the contract down in 2 parts. The front part of the RV park, you know, back part, and the wilderness was over on another, actually 3
So
parts.
they wouldn't have to get
Yeah,
bids.
but even the part though that he did do, that he did get paid for, we gotta get him to come back. The laboratories that he put in the front part that he's been paid for, they're defective. It looks like somebody tried to patch him with some whiteout from a typewriter deal. And a China laboratory is cheap anyway to start with, but he needs to get himself back out there and make right what he should have done in the first place. They're just defective, just plain
Yeah,
and
well,
simple.
and that's
Well,
my
when
point.
They may already have replaced.
He didn't replace it. He didn't finish the labs. Those are the original labs.
Those are original laboratories?
Yeah.
No, those are new.
But what I'm concerned about is that he put in his contract that he would make those restrooms
Yeah.
ADA compliant.
I'm with you, and now
And he
I'm hearing right
didn't,
now that
so-
it's been let out of it. Well, I'm just hearing this for the first time.
It's a breach of contract.
I agree.
So what are we doing money about?
don't worry, for God's sake.
Good job.
So I have a motion on the floor to get somebody out to rebid
Well,
the unisex bathroom,
anyway,
ADA,
the
the ADA bathroom.
That's not on the agenda.
It's in the gravel. and the-
What you're on the agenda for is gravel,
Gravel.
not ADA.
It was included in the gravel.
It is for the gravel. Do we have a bid on the gravel at all? Have we requested
I was
bids?
supposed to have excuse me, I was supposed to have a couple in this week, and I haven't gotten, I was hoping to have them in by yesterday, but I don't. They should be forthcoming shortly.
And the bids are supposed to include all the gravel or just a certain amount of gravel?
We were getting it both ways,
Okay.
and also, would account for like the dig out and caliche base, and, where it's, because you just pitch gravel out there on the ground, it's not gonna stay. There's more to it than just throwing out some gravel.
He's right, we shouldn't even be talking about the
That's
contract.
right.
I just thought it was that important. We'll just roll the dice for another month or two.
Madam
but
Chair,
we don't get sued.
I move that we table this item until we have an actual amount or an estimate on the gravel.
I've got a motion to table the gravel. We have the bids in front of us. I've got a motion and a second to table the gravel at the RV park until we get our bids in front of us. Discussion, consideration, all in favor? Motion passes to table the item on the gravel. 4 members voting. Number 16, discussion, consideration, late fees for the supplementary assessments.
Madam Chairman, Chairperson, I put this on the agenda. I was challenged sometime after the last board meeting that there was not a formal vote on it. The board had discussed it, but there wasn't really a vote. So all we need is just a simple vote to allow late fees for the supplementary assessments effective April the 1st. The previous board resolution just addressed assessments. The regular residential assessments.
I'll make a motion that we set the late fee April 1st on the supplementary assessments. I set the date as April 1st on the supplementary. If they're not paid by April 1st on their supplementary assessments, that a late fee be charged.
I've got a motion to put an April 1st deadline for special assessment that went out to the membership. There's a lot of members that have not paid that, and I guess what we want to do is start paying, charging a late fee if they're not paid by April the 1st. I have a motion to that effect. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
How much is it? How much is it?
The assessment was $42.
No,
Oh, the late fee is the regular late fee?
It's the same with standards for everything, the $20.
Per month?
Every month.
Per lot?
Per lot.
That's a month.
Yes,
Per
per
lot.
account.
Per account.
Per account.
Was it 50% late fee? $20 on a $42?
I've got a question on that. When you first sent that assessment out, you had no date due when it was due. It just said pay as soon as possible because we needed the money. Now you're coming back and saying we're going to put a late fee on a thing that you had no date when it was due. So I'm asking, how can you put a late charge on something that had no date when it was due in the first place?
That's right.
Didn't it say on the letter that you sent out, pay at your convenience?
Upon receipt. Upon receipt is what
Oh.
it says.
It had no date on it.
Debbie, I have a question too. I mean, I won't pay $42, but I have been denied my privilege of 2 votes. I'm supposed to get 3 ballots, and I've gotten only 1 ballot to vote on. So in my estimation, I'll pay the $42 for that 1 ballot, but the other 2 ballots I have not received. And that is false advertisement.
Woody Francis, we cannot help that. You can tell the volunteers that each candidate brought in to help with the stuffing of the ballots. I hate to call it stuffing of the ballots, but preparing the ballots for mailing. They were supervised, a count was done, the ballots were mailed out. Now, we have this almost every year that someone doesn't get a ballot. It says in our bylaws that a second ballot will not be given for any reason. And so we cannot do that.
Well,
one of our own employees that happens to work up at the front counter has not gotten her ballot, but we can't give her a second one. But to say your privilege is being denied because you didn't get a ballot, we can't help that. They all went to the post office. I know that there was an individual that had called Ms. Frerick, Nancy Frerick, last week, and they had just gotten their ballot, and they were somebody that lived here locally. Another individual got someone else's, they got their ballot, but they also got someone else's in their box. They were kind enough to turn it back into the window at the post office. Some people might just throw it away, we don't know. But please don't say that your privilege is being denied when we mail them out of here every year. And there's enough people in here supervising that there's no funny stuff going on.
Well, to this 2 ballots, you know, I mean, I'm supposed to get 3 and
Yes,
I
I've
got only
understood
1.
that. You explained that last month, I think, that
And
you
I
have
think
3.
I don't think I'm the only one that's happened to.
No, ma'am, I'm sure that's true.
There's so many labels put out there. I've done the ballots before. There's so many letters made. There's so many of any item that goes in that. And they're counted and recounted, and the whole 9 yards doesn't tally out. You don't get to leave this room. So however many ballots were supposed to go out, that's how many envelopes are put in those bins back there to go out in the mail. If you don't get it because of the U.S. mail, that many ballots went out of here when they left this room right here to the post office. I've been in that situation. I've worked that before, and we couldn't even go to lunch until we had it counted correctly.
Just for your information, I went through this about 20 years ago up in Wisconsin with paychecks. it'd be the same thing. The company kept saying, yes, we put them in the mail, they're mailed out. It finally got to the state senate in Wisconsin, and the senator came up and said, if you can't depend on the U.S. mail, you're going to have to find another way of delivering the ballots or delivering the paycheck. And that's what it boiled down to.
So I understand your votes are important to you, just like anybody else's are, but the ballots had to have been counted when they were in the bin, because we could not go home that day until every ballot was accounted for. Now, I don't know what the recourse is there, but everybody in here can say they didn't get their second or third one and then have to just give another ballot. How is that fair to anybody?
Well, you have to sign your name.
I think probably it could be arranged, and, because now you sign the ballot.
Well, now you
So
sign the
if
ballot.
somebody did
So-
get it, they could make a trip to the CPA's office and sign it in person and have it notarized at that time.
No,
And he would know whether or not he already had ballots in that name.
So
That'd be
anyhow,
a lot of trouble, but.
yeah. Back to item 16, consideration late fees for supplementary assessments. I've got a motion and a second to accept an April 1st deadline or start assessing the late fee. All in favor? Motion passes, 3 members voting. Fifteen-minute discussion. Georgia Martin.
I'd like to know why the CCNRs are not enforced on this board. For 2 years, we have been getting written complaints to the Architectural Committee. We gave a letter to the Director of Operations. We gave a letter to the board, which has been turned over to Janelle. And she tells me that she has sent 2 letters to these people. Still nothing has happened. Do you send the letter certified, return receipt requested?
The second letter goes out certified. The first letter is just a, yes ma'am, and I'm
Nothing has
aware.
ever happened.
We were by there just this past week and pictures were taken again. And
But is anything gonna happen?
yes, it just, I know it seems like it's,
It's been over 2 years.
Yeah.
We've worked here.
yes ma'am, I understand that.
And it's just, it gets worse.
But-
There's a regular junkyard.
There will be, yes ma'am, I understand that. And there will be I'm sure that the Architectural Committee will take action to go ahead and
Well, I
levy a
hope
special
so.
assessment on
After 2 years living inside that
for
mess.
failing to comply with the CCNRs. Because we've done that before in different instances.
Nothing has happened so far.
Yes ma'am, I'm aware of that because we were just out there again this week. Thank you.
About anything.
Dean Bowman.
Yes, I would like to question the board on their interpretation of Part 12 of the protective restrictions, use and disposition of assets, what that means.
Part 12 of what?
The protective restrictions on page 16. Use and disposition of assets.
I'll go get a copy right quick. You have a copy there?
No, declaration.
Declaration.
They supersede the bylaws, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I'm just gonna go ahead and read this. No part of the net earnings of the association shall be paid or distributed to any member of the association or any other individual, nor shall any part of such net earnings ensure for the benefit of any member or other individual all of the assets of the association are and shall be perpetually dedicated to the performance of the association's duties hereunder, and shall continue to be so dedicated notwithstanding any dissolution of the association of the impossibility of performing the specific purpose of the association. In the event of any such dissolution or impossibility of performance, the association's purposes, the assets of the association shall be distributed to an organization which is exempt under section 501c3 of the internal. That's only, that's if we go under.
No, it says use also.
And disposition of assets.
It says use also.
No. 501(c) means a nonprofit organization.
Correct.
That's if we dissolve.
That's if we go under.
No, it also says use and disposition of assets. Use of assets also, correct?
It says use, sir, but what that's saying is that essentially no profits or anything of the association will inure to the benefit of the members. In other words, it's not like a publicly owned company that you receive dividends from your stock or something.
Correct, correct. And it also means that no profit organization or business can use or dispose of the forward asset. Doesn't that mean that also?
I don't believe that's what that section, I don't believe that's what that section means, sir.
Unless it's a nonprofit. They can't use or dispose of the forward assets.
We're not disposing or using the forward assets except to keep the association running.
You have in your past contracts.
What are you speaking of, sir?
Okay, the contract with Mike Fazell, is he nonprofit?
That was way before my time.
I know.
No.
Okay, neither is the KOA?
Huh?
Neither is the KOA?
Sir, the selling lots, the thing with the Zelle, that's, I mean, we're as we so often do, and no offense intended, but we're dragging up stuff that's already water under the bridge.
Right.
But the board has every right.
But you're still paying for it.
Sir, the board has every right, according to the declaration, to sell memberships and lots. And so that's what was done, whether it be right or wrong that they did it, they still have the right to do that.
Okay, but you're bringing, what this means is you're bringing commercial organizations and businesses in the mix of the fort's assets, which are nonprofit.
No, we're not.
That doesn't even.
The only thing with the nonprofit down there in that statement is if we dissolve this whole association, no member, no employee should get one red penny out of what is there. It should all go to a 5013C entity.
Which would be something like the Old Prairie Society, or the, I think Community Council is 5013C now.
Isn't that why the county sued over the use of the common area? Because it went commercial? They increased your taxes?
I don't.
You gotta have one.
The county didn't sue us. We're the ones that.
But they upped your tax rate because it went commercial, correct?
Because another end, but that doesn't have anything to do with this section, sir.
Okay.
Linda Borczynski.
Okay, according to the restroom thing, Mr. Gibbon is no longer my concern, except that I would hope that you would put this man, that the contractor's name on a list. You do not hire for any work for this board. And if you get bids on all your contracts, that was a $14,000 job. And any company over $1,000, you require 3 bids. There was no bids taken on that contract. So, and you don't hire a painter to do a plumber carpenter job. Next, according to Mr. Farlow's request, we did purchase the vents for the dryers for the RV park. I think we spent about, what, $32? So we did buy the dryer vents. They're in the shed, so when that work order's put in, we do have the equipment for it.
Thank you. At this time, I think we need to go into our executive session.
address the public just for a minute. Just for the information of the membership, I would like to let them know, I know there's been some people wondering as far as speed limits of some of the vehicles that are going by here. Now, let me advise you that we have currently 9 firefighters, quote, paramedics that reside in Fort Clark, and it is a volunteer fire department. So that means when a pager goes off, whether it be a medical emergency, a fire accident, anything of that nature, the volunteer firefighters and paramedics respond. They usually respond, our protocol is to respond with flashing lights, our 4-ways, our hazard lights going, and our horns. Even though the law permits a firefighter to equip their personal vehicle with a red light and a siren, we don't do that because it raises our insurance policies. However, when a firefighter or a paramedic is responding to a medical emergency or fire, that private vehicle becomes an official emergency vehicle under the Texas Transportation Code. So I just put this out as information in case you happen to be on the road when you have somebody blaring their horn at you and the flasher's going. That is more than likely a paramedic or a firefighter, or me behind you honking the horn. Not that I'm being rude, but it's just that we're responding to an alarm. Okay, thank you.
I do have, go ahead.
Can something to that effect be written up for what's happening? So those who are not sitting in the room right now can also be made aware of that situation?
Mrs. White.
I was also on number 16, those that are late, that are they going to be notified that this assessment is due? It should be in the newsletter or something.
It has been on the...
Yes, a letter is going out to all those individuals.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And also, we do have our security report this month. Just for your information, we had 3 air life landings, 5 EMS calls, 12 reports of suspicious activity. We want to thank everybody for taking an interest in their communities and reporting to security on that. 1 report of a domestic disturbance, 1 report of a possible break-in, reports of gunshot, which was over at the gun range, report of a fire, report of a gas leak, reports of criminal mischief, vandalism, 3, 1 report of drug paraphernalia found, 6 reports of speeders and reckless drivers, 6 reports of sick or injured or dead animals, 1 vehicle accident, 2 reports of graffiti, 1 report of downed power lines, 8 reports of dogs running loose, 12 reports of barking dogs, 4 reports of loud noise, music playing above the normal range, 3 requests for welfare checks on family members or neighbors, 2 reports of water leaks, 1 denied entry to an unlicensed teenage driver, and 3 curfew violations. So our security has been at work. And we do thank each and every one of you for reporting anything that you have a problem with, because we sure can't fix it if we don't get the report. Thank you. Mr. Rayner.
Yeah, I'd like to bring out a point back from 17 of the discussion. I had my arm up, but nobody recognized me as being able to speak. The point I was going to bring is concerning the work that was done or supposed to have been done at the RV park that was not completed according to the ADA specifications. Shouldn't there have been somebody supervising that contractor, or so we have a maintenance chief that perhaps be present, available to look and see that the contract is adhered to and that the job is done correctly? That's the point I wanted to
Well,
bring.
we had a director of operations at that time, and that fell under his job qualifications. We were paying a salary to a person who we thought was doing the job.
Well, we also have a maintenance chief, that's capable
But
of
he
doing.
had given the job to somebody else.
Can I make one statement?
Yes,
Um,
state your name,
Lester Curtis.
Lester Curtis.
I'm sitting here today listening to all the excuses that this board has because what this happened or this happened. And this plumbing deal is a joke and a half. If anybody that goes over there and looks at that bathroom in a wilderness park, it's just a piece of junk. I mean, he used interior sheetrock on an open building. The thing's coming apart already. He put no P-traps in on the sinks, and but here this board is typical of what this board says. Oh, it's not our fault. It's not our fault. It's somebody else's fault. And it's plain to see there's been no oversight whatever on this job. None whatsoever. I don't know, I guess you had a contract with him, but nobody took the time to go over and see what the guy was doing or nothing else. But this is common, this is a common thing that's been going on with this board for the last, since I've been here, not this board, but the preceding boards. They have no idea what's going on. One guy makes all the motions, I make a motion to do this, the other guy seconds the emotions, and he can't even get his motions straight sometimes, what he's trying to...
I got a suggestion. Why don't you run for the board the next time?
Well,
The reason is, that I have to say, the reason the stuff was stopped at the RV park was because a board member was concerned, and we stopped the work down there at the other restroom before it got started.
Yeah,
I hate to make it hard on
you
that,
finally
sir.
got one board member that come up and said, this is just a bunch of junk that they're doing over here. But now,
No, we
go
can
to your
go
little
back to
executive
board
session.
members for
Go
30
into
years.
your secret session and make all your plans
Why
and
don't
stuff.
you ride around and look around and make sure it's done right?
Well, anybody with any sense can go over
We
and look
need,
at that
we need
park
to,
and see
I got
that
one
it's
hand,
place
Mr.
of
Ebert,
junk.
you have the floor.
This is typical, we expect the board to run it, but we don't want the board to get involved. We've got to make up our mind. You want a director of operation, you want employees taking care of the fort, you want a board to meet every week and make decisions. You can't do both. Their job is not to run the fort. That
Okay.
belongs to the operations people.
Okay, then their job is to hire an operation manager, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
This gentleman says what your job is to do. Hire somebody that can manage the fort.
And we are trying to find an operations manager, but we don't want somebody that cannot do the job, and we're taking a little more time to try to get the right person in here. May we go into executive session?
$30,000 a year.
The maintenance manager can be going around and looking at all this.
And that's our.
What do you want about the board? Jeez. You know, take care of your own problem. I don't know if your door's running over my yard.
Thank you all for coming.